Abo, hello, and welcome to my Hubba Bubba 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 Tubu Tubu Radio, where I will teach you everything you need to know to speak like how I am speaking right now. I'm going to have examples, I'll do it really slowly, give you some tips and tricks so that you can do it so it sounds smooth and trippy and people can understand what you're saying. Now, before I get into this, I feel like there's a few things I need to address because as soon as that video of me went viral, people in the comments were infuriated that I've been calling this Hubba Bubba and not Ubby Dubby or Mushmouth or Bubble Talk or whatever other nostalgic thing they had associated in their mind. Now, I also know that a lot of you don't care about that, and for you guys, I'm going to have a timestamp in the comments so you can skip this and go straight to the tutorial itself. So when I was in grade 2, my cousin and I decided to make a language where we took a B and put it in between every syllable. And we'd never seen Zoom, we'd never seen Mushmouth, and at the time we just called this language gibberish. And my cousin got bored of it after like 2 months and stopped, and I took it and just like took off with it, and it became my thing. And I would do everything in gibberish. I would order food in gibberish. I would do prank calls in gibberish. I would go up to people and be like, hey, what do you, what maybe to city, even gibberish? And they'd give me a tongue twister, and I'd do it, and they'd be like, oh my God. And then eventually, in high school, I was showing someone my language, and they're like, yo, you got that from Zoom. That's Ubby Dubby. And I was like, what? So they showed me Ubby Dubby, and sure enough, there's these people out there, a whole television show, where people are putting B's in between every syllable. Now, I noticed a couple things. The first is that the kids in that show weren't really that good at it. They were kind of like, Hubba lobo frebbens, vibisibizubba pubbensubble. And so the first thing is they were just putting a regular B in between every syllable. But that's not what I'm doing. Every time I open my mouth, I am wrapping my lips around my teeth and flapping them together, getting this kind of motion. And you might say that's splitting hairs, that's basically just a B, and it's the same thing that Ubby Dubby's doing. But if you're not doing that thing that I'm doing, that motion, then you're not doing it right. At least in my mind, you're not going to get the sound that I'm getting. If you want to do Ubby Dubby, then you can do what they're doing with just a B. Hubba lubbo, vibisibis, ubba bibby dubba bibby. But it's not just that I'm doing what they're doing faster. It's that the technique that I'm using, where I'm flapping my lips together, allows me to go faster and allows me to do it in a way where people can understand what I'm saying and where it sounds all trippy and rubbery and it gives it like a different texture. And again, you might say that that's not enough of a difference, but really people who can speak Ubby Dubby have to learn how to use my technique in order to speak Hubba Bubba, because they're not the same thing. It's a whole muscle memory. It's a whole thing that you have to get into your muscle memory. And to say that what I'm doing is the same as what they're doing is ignoring the fact that my lips are doing all this mileage. Every single syllable they have to wrap around and flap each other. I'm not going hubba lubbo, I'm going habba lubbo, habba lubbo. This is hubba baba baba baba. The sib is ubba bibby dubba bibby. The other thing is that in Ubby Dubby, now correct me if I'm wrong, I think the U is also important. I think it's not just that they're putting a B in every syllable, I think they're putting an ub in every syllable. So they take certain vowels and turn them into U's. So pencil becomes like pubbensubble, where they put like a U in there. Now I might be wrong on that, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting when I listen to Ubby Dubby. And that's not what I'm doing. I am trying to keep whatever vowels are already in the word, I'm trying to keep them as clearly intact as possible and not change things into U's. Now, the one thing I did get from Ubby Dubby was the inspiration for the name Hubba Bubba. So after listening to Ubby Dubby, I was like, okay, they're doing a similar thing to me. It's not the same thing, but the name Ubby Dubby has a much better ring to it than gibberish. So I thought to myself, okay, what I'm doing sounds a lot more bubbly than Ubby Dubby, like the texture that it has. And so I decided to call it Hubba Bubba, after the bubblegum, which is obviously has a very similar ring to Ubby Dubby. So yes, the name Hubba Bubba was actually inspired by the name Ubby Dubby, but I didn't want to call it Ubby Dubby because I really didn't feel that I was doing what they were doing, and also I didn't have that nostalgic attachment to the television show Zoom. So fast forward a bunch of years, I get into beatbox. I beatbox for like 12 years. I meet Jordy, we form a tag team, we qualify for the Grand Beatbox Battle, which is like the biggest beatboxing competition on the planet. So super prestigious. We feel so honored to go. We do it. It's a crazy experience. And while we're there, we have an interview. And during the interview, they ask us to do our special sounds. And so of course, I'm going to show them Hubba Bubba. And then lo and behold, that video goes viral. And I knew as I was looking through the comments what I was going to find. And sure enough, it was there. People being, "You stole this from BW. You're a thief. How can you call it Hubba Bubba? You're not original. Blah, 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 blah." So whatever. You can call it whatever you want. I don't care. But the other thing that was in the comments was people saying I stole it from Bill Cosby from the show Mushmouth. And I was like, what? So I look up Mushmouth, and sure enough, Bill Cosby's doing the thing. The only difference is Bill Cosby's actually doing the same technique I'm doing, where he's wrapping his lips around his teeth, and it has that kind of bubbly sound to it. Now, Bill Cosby speaks really slowly and like kind of lazily because he's Bill Cosby, that's his style, but he's still doing the thing. So if you really want to get technical, I'm not doing a sped up version of Ubby Dubby. I'm actually doing a sped up version of Mushmouth. So to give credit where credit's due, Bill Cosby did it before me. And Ubby Dubby also did it before me. They just do it differently than me, and I prefer my version. But that being said, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been calling it Hubba Bubba for a really, really long time at this point. So I'm not just going to start calling it Mushmouth. I'm still going to call it Hubba Bubba. But if you have a nostalgic attachment to Mushmouth, you can call it that. You can call it Hubba Bubba. People call it bubble language, whatever. I don't care whatever you call it. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into the actual tutorial. I've broken this down into 2 steps. Step 1, and this might seem a little bit strange, but I want you to over-enunciate every syllable and open your mouth really wide for every syllable. So it's like this. Hello, I am over-enunciating every syllable and opening my mouth really wide while I do it. Step 2, every time you open your mouth, I want you to wrap your lips around your teeth. So, and then every time your mouth closes, your lips have to hit each other and do this flappy B. So hello becomes hello. So you start just hello, then hello. And that's basically it. And you do that with everything. So it really is just like a muscle memory. I don't have to practice a sentence before I do it. I can do it just fluently. So, if I want, I can just start speaking like this. Without thinking about what I am doing or where I am putting the floppy babies. And I don't have to think about it because it's just muscle memory. Every time I open my mouth, I just wrap my lips. And then every time I close my mouth, my lips hit each other. Hello. Elephant becomes elephant. So some people in the comments have been asking like where I put the B. Is it the beginning of the syllable, the end? It's in the middle. It's in the middle of the vowel sound. So basically you would have the vowel on either side of the B. So again, let's just do elephant, right? Elephant. And it's as simple as that. Now, there are some tricks to make it sound better. And it's one of those things where if you want to do it the way I'm doing it, where it sounds like all trippy, you have to be like super rhythmic with it. So the first trick is once you have the muscle memory and you're able to do it slowly, it really is about bringing it up to speed. When you do it slow, it kind of loses that effect. But then when you do it fast, it sounds all trippy. So 1, be rhythmic. 2, you have to be so clear in what you're saying. You can't miss a letter. So like the word distinct, you know, distinct, right? You have to enunciate every single letter. And then there's also the thing, what do you define as a syllable? Because let's take the word every. A lot of people would say that's 2 syllables, right? Every. But for Hubba Bubba, to do it clearly, I would say it's 3 syllables. Every. And I'd put a B in between each one of those. So that would become every. Or let's take I go by scribbly doodle. So scribbly, is that 2 syllables, scribbly? Or is it scribbly? Scribbly. So if you want to make it sound really clear, if the word can be broken into even more syllables than you are initially thinking of because of letters that are close to each other, or like diphthongs, and a diphthong is just 2 vowels that are close to each other. So, okay, so for a diphthong, let's take the word fire. Fire, is that 1 syllable? Fire? Or is it fire? Right? You have this diphthong where the I-er comes into it. So fire. I should also mention the most difficult letters to do this with is hard R's. So because to do an R, your tongue is like kind of curled up at the back, and you have to be able to wrap your lips and do that while your tongue is maintaining that position. So my last name is Harder, and that's a difficult word to say in Hubba Bubba because it's harder, because I have to keep that and yeah, so if people are wondering what the most difficult things to say are, it's words with R's in the middle of them. That's the hardest. So just to give you the sense of the difference between a regular B and my floppy B, and this will also give you a different, like you'll hear the difference between Hubba Bubba and Ubby Dubby. If I were to say Hubba Bubba in Hubba Bubba, right? There's a whole bunch of B's in a row there. That's going to be Hubba Bubba Bubba Bubba, Hubba Bubba Bubba Bubba, Hubba Bubba Bubba Bubba, Hubba Bubba Bubba Bubba, Abby Yabum Spitty Kidding, Hubba Bubba Bubba Bubba. So you can hear it goes regular B, floppy B, regular B, floppy B, regular B, floppy B. Because the word Hubba Bubba is full of regular B's. And in between those regular B's, I'm putting my floppy B's. If I were to do that in Ubby Dubby, it would be Hubba Bubba Bubba Bubba. But in Hubba Bubba, it's Hubba Bubba Bubba Bubba. So that really is the big difference. And that actually would be the best way to practice Hubba Bubba, is just doing B's, a whole bunch of B's in a row. Just go ba 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 and try to put the floppy B's in between, because then your lips are basically going hard B, floppy B, hard B, floppy B. And it turns into ba 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 ba. So that would be the best exercise you could do to just master that muscle memory. And then you could try doing like different vowels like ba 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 ba, baby baby baby, burr 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 burr, boo 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 boo. Booby's good. Boo boo baby, boo boo baby. It's a fun one. Yeah, actually, I find that tongue twisters with a lot of B's are the easiest, because it's easy to do that back and forth B motion. That's the easiest one to do. So yeah, that Betty Butter one. Bebba TV Bobbit, Eddie Bibbit of Bubba Tubber. Bubba Tubber Bubba Tubber, Bebba TV Bobbit, what was Bibba Tubber? So Bebba TV Bobbit, Eddie Bebba Tubber, Bibba Tubber, Bubba Tubber, Tubu Medic, the Bibba Tubber, Bubba Tubber, Taste, Bebba Tubber. That's actually one of the easier ones. Same with peas. Peepy Tubber, Putty Pubber, Pippic, Eddie Peppic of a Pippicable Peppa Pubbers. How Mebba Navy Peppa Pubbers, David Peepy Tubber, Putty Pubber, Pippic. So again, notice how clear I have to be on all of those consonant sounds in between. Peepy Tubber, Putty Pubber, Pippict. Pippict. You have to really have the pippict, right? You can't just say pippict, pippic, whatever. You have to be really clear is what I'm trying to say. Pibby tubber, pibby pubber, pippict, a pedic of piddicoupled peppa pubbers. How about meta navy piddicoupled peppa pubbers, David pibby tubber, pibby pubber, piddic. Piddicoupled peppa pubbers. Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind is, especially this like applies when you're doing something musically, if you're trying to do like a rap or a song in Hubba Bubba, is that some syllables take longer than other syllables, right? So let's take supercalifragilistic, right? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That do is longer than the rest of all the other syllables. It's twice as long. It takes up 2 beats. All the other syllables take up 1 beat. So when I do that in Hubba Bubba, I have to add an extra beat in Hubba Bubba. And so I would do that by adding an extra hard B and floppy B. So that would be Subu perber cabalaba fraba jabba leda static evic speedy yada laba double bubble shubbis, right? Double bubble. I added a bubble in there. Subu papa kappa lava frabba trouble leva tebba kebbas baby yabba lava double bubble shabbos. If you've ever double leva seven double febba tebba seven baby quabby tubba trouble bubble shabbos. If you be saving it lava deva nava, you can sound for rubble bubble shabbos. Subu papa kappa lava frabba trouble leva tebba kebbas baby yabba lava double bubble shabbos. So, yeah, if you want to do something musically, keep that in mind that different syllables take different amount of beats. And so you have to add those beats in Hubba Bubba to make it sound right. So I think that's all the advice I have to give on the regular Hubba Bubba, but I also have another technique that I haven't shown the world yet, and that is my double bubble technique. And I won't just give you guys a sneak peek, I'll also just tell you guys how to do it and what I'm doing. So here is a little bonus tutorial for the double bubble technique. And basically all it is instead of doing a flappy B in between every syllable, I do my flappy B and a D in between every syllable, making triplets. So here, let's do scribbly doodle again. So in regular Hubba Bubba, scribbly doodle is scribba bubba libby dooba double. Scribba bubba libby dooba double. If I were to do the double bubble technique with the B and the D, that becomes scribbity bubba libbity dooba doo double. Scribbity bubba libbity dooba doo double. And I'm not as fluent with this technique yet, but I think for the most part I can still do it. So Habita lubito, rebity nabito, abity adam ubidu zebiting, dubita dubita bubble, bubita bubble, tabitic nibitic, webiter abity pubitit, ebity bibbity, adant ebity dibbity, ibitum bubita twibiting, ebita bubita rebity sebita lubita bubble. I'll see if I can do a tongue twister. Pibbity tubiter, pubbity pubiter, pibitic, ebity pebitic, ubit of pibity cubital, pebita pubiters. Habito, mebita nibity, pibity cubital, pebita pubiters, dibited, pibbity tubiter, pubbity pubiter, pibitic. So that one I still got to practice a bit on, but I almost got it. Yeah, so you guys have fun with this. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you guys are able to all learn it and be speaking weird rubber bubble language soon. And I know that now beatboxers have their hands on this. It's going to go wild and it's going to evolve into something else. And that's awesome. If I could create a sound that trends in the beatboxing community, that's my life's work is done, right? So enjoy, have fun, keep on going, keep beatboxing, making sounds, be weird. Esh.